So let's take a close look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Hasbro Pulse exclusive modular Iron Man figure with plasma cannon. It comes in this windowless box, but it is a box within a box, and I'll show you that in a second. But here is the front of it, showing what the figure would look like in a digital render. I love the retro design of it. Here's the side, nothing much going on there. On the back side, we just get a yellow blueprint or yellow print of the figure and what he comes with. There's also a read up at the top, and the print is very small, but you can go ahead and pause the video here to read it. And here it is out of the box. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely gorgeous. I love this retro packaging. I love this Iron Man retro line. Only 2 figures so far. We had War Machine as a regular release, and this is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. 2 figures only. Hopefully we are gonna continue this line forward. They haven't really announced anything else for it, so it has me a little on the fence, a little nervous, but hopefully it continues to thrive, because there's so many characters they can make from this retro Toy Biz line of Iron Man. And here's the backside of this carded box, and it's the same thing with the read up and everything, so nothing different. And the plasma cannon, as it's labeled, but also known as the Proton Cannon, is in a different separate box within that bigger box that we saw. So this leads me to believe that possibly, maybe, this Iron Man might get a regular release but without the Proton Cannon, and the exclusivity of the Hasbro Pulse release would be the Proton Cannon, but I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know, it's just a guess. But here it is, here's the box, here's the side, pretty dope, I love it. Looks great, so let's get this thing cracked open. So he stands about 6.5 inches tall. If you have the modular Iron Man that came in the Build-A-Bear, Build-A-Figure of Ursa Major, then you know what this figure is going to be all about, because this is the exact same figure, about 99% the same. Really, the only thing I found different is that they deepened the arc reactor a little bit, and that is because we get a brand new effect piece here that plugs right into the arc reactor. You can see kind of like the outline of the arc reactor there is like a diamond shape, and that should fit right onto it. And there you go, you just plug it right in and it stays put. On the previous release, you're not going to be able to do that because they did not deepened in the arc reactor. So that's really the only difference I found on this figure, is the arc reactor, and that's about it. And of course the paint job. And speaking of the paint, the majority of the figure is a plastic mold color, yellow and red, with paint on the knees, paint on the waist right here, like on that little buckle, and paint on the head on the top right here. Everything else, from what I can see, is plastic mold, and it looks great. They chose the right colors. It's nice, bright and vibrant. It really is eye-catching, so he will definitely stand out in your Hall of Armors. So going back to the effect piece that he comes with, this is again a brand new effect piece, and I love the paint and effect that they did on here. It's very soft and pliable, so it means it's easy to warp. Fortunately for me, it came perfectly. It's not warped or anything. It did come in a blister packaging, so that maybe assisted with that. And then he also does come with this effect, which is brand new as well. As far as I'm concerned, I've never seen these before. So this is like something right out of Dragon Ball Z, if you ask me, but this is pretty awesome. You can see big hole in there. It looks like a shape of a fist, so you're going to be able to put his fist inside and have him mega punch somebody away with this repulsor blast punch. But there you go, very cool. That's awesome. This is a little warped, very soft pliable plastic once again. I wish it was a little bit tougher, but again, this would prevent it from snapping, since it does thin out at the end here, and you don't have to worry about it breaking on you. And there's a quick look at him with the bigger effect piece in his hand. So again, here is the head he comes packed in with, and then here is the alternate head, which is the same one from the Ursa Major with the painted eyes there. And that is not all, because he comes with a third head, and that is an unmasked Tony Stark head, a brand new Tony Stark head, and this is the Tony Stark with the mullet. Very classic comic book look here. Really dig it. I'm loving that Hasbro has given us all of these different looks of Tony Stark, all these unmasked heads. Super fun. Alright, and he does come with a standard set of fists, as well as an open set of hands with a peg hole there. They even painted the peg hole yellow, which is nice. They never really do that, so it's pretty cool to see. But he doesn't come with any repulsor blast effects to plug into these peg holes, so the majority of us do own a Iron Man here and there, and I'm sure for the most part we're probably going to have some Repulsor Blast lying around, but it still would have been nice to have some included since he has hands that are meant for some. And these are the effects that came with the Riri Williams Ironheart figure that just released for the MCU. I have her lying around because I just reviewed her a couple days ago, and they fit in perfectly. So if you have any of these, then these will work just fine. It's also worth noting that these are not the fixed posed hands. These have hinges, so you don't have to worry about it just being stuck out like this the entire time. You can move them around, you can hinge them. And then the final set of hands are these grabby hands, and you guys know what these are going to be for. These are, of course, to grab the Proton Cannon. These are brand new for Iron Man, never seen these before. These have side hinges, you can see the massive grip within them, and they have the yellow arc reactor or repulsor blast part of the hand there painted yellow as well, which is a nice touch. And now on to the main attraction, or one of the main attractions of this release, is the Proton Cannon. This thing is actually big. I mean, it's way bigger in hand than I expected. It's a pretty big chunky piece. From that end to the other end, it ends up being about 7 inches long. So that gives you an idea. It's about the size of an action figure. On the front side, you can see all of the peg holes here for the blast effects. Now, it does come with one. This does not fit on the hand. This is just a big blast effect for the Proton Cannon, and that will fit in the middle peg hole, leaving the outside peg holes empty. But when you plug this in, you're not going to be able to fit anything else on the sides there. Now, if you don't use the big effect and you have a lot of smaller effects lying around, you can plug those into the smaller ones surrounding it. Right there, you can see how that fits perfectly. Alright, so here's an idea. I dug into my accessory bin and found a whole bunch of Repulsor Blast effects, and these are the same size, but this one has a bigger like impact or ring around it, as you see here, so I'm unable to fit them all with that. So this one I removed it, and it's just a single beam. So if you want to remove that from all of them, you can just have all single beams, or if you just have a lot of the newer kind, which is the one that came with Ironheart that has the smaller ring, as you can see around it, then all those could fit around these smaller peg holes there. But this is just an idea. I know the colors are all different. These are all from various different Iron Mans. And you can do something like this, and maybe even if you remove this big old ring around this effect, then you'll probably be able to peg that into the middle right there. It is really cool that there are peg holes available for us to get creative. Would have been super awesome if we had all of the effects for each of those peg holes. That would be nuts. That would really bring a lot of value, even more value to this set, as it is $45 for the set, and I think it's pretty fair. It's right on the line, I would say. It's like right on the line. If it was any more than that, I think it would have been a little too much, but considering it is an exclusive, figures, let's say the figure's 25, this thing's the size of a figure, let's say this is 20 bucks for the Cannon, that's right there is already $45, and of course the alternate heads and all this and that, I mean that's included with the figure and all that, but trying to break down the prices, I'd say 20 for each piece here for the Cannon and for the Iron Man is pretty fair. I mean, if you were to get a Proton Cannon customized, made for you, I'm sure it would cost you more than 20 bucks. So I think we're pretty good right now. If it was 60, if it was 65, 55 for the set, it'd be a little too much in my opinion. But overall, I think the value is there. Just would have been extra juicy if it had a bunch of effects to plug into these small peg holes here that were there already. Right, and this thing is on a stand. It hasn't been levitating on its own, of course, so it comes with a stand, and it does balance it pretty well, and it's supposed to hold it up as you try to pose Iron Man with it. We'll see if I need it or not. I'm going to try to pose him up without it, but this thing has some weight to it, and it's pretty big, so he might end up tipping over. But let's take a closer look, one closer look at all the details before we get into that. Alright, so here we go. Overall, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. It's very big and animated-ish looking. Not a lot of color, but we have a lot of details and really big. Of course, we got all these pipes, got a button right there. We have what I would assume these would be like lasers. I don't know what these red parts are, but they're all over the bottom of it. Maybe they shoot rockets or something. Of course, here's the front end. It's painted pink there. And then here's the other side. We got some more paint here with the red lines. Some red little lights here. Another light or button, whatever that may be. Here is the actual grip. No trigger though. I don't know how he shoots this thing. Maybe it's connected wirelessly with his suit, but he doesn't have a trigger there. and then here's the bottom part. Of course, here is the base. You can unplug this, and there's the big peg hole for the base and stand. And there you go. There's a close look at it. Alright, so I can say it is very difficult to get him to stand with it without the stand. It's not leaning on the backdrop right now. He's standing on his own, but barely standing on his own. The only reason why he's holding this thing up is because his other arm is holding on to this side right here. And I know this isn't a firing pose, but I just wanted to get him standing straight up, holding the actual proton cannon to see if it's possible. And it is, but you got to do a lot of balancing work, a lot of movement with the legs and ankles, of course. It's very tough, and I wouldn't risk displaying him like this if you don't want him falling over in the middle of the night in your display. Alright, trust and believe me when I say that I tried, I don't know why, but I tried to display him without the stand in an action pose, and it's impossible. So you're gonna have to use that base and stand for support for him to hold it, because it's just way too heavy, and it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work at all. My ACBA people out there, I know you guys could probably work your magic on this and have some of those ACBA stands probably hold it up and have some effects cover the stand, and whatever you guys do to make the stands go away and give the illusion that it is suspended in the air, or he's holding it, or whatever it may be. That's something for you guys to find out and figure out. But right off the bat, like, if you're just trying to get him to hold it alone without any effects, without any Photoshop, without any stands, then it's very difficult. But the end product, though, once you have him holding it, is pretty dope. So here's a look at him next to the modular Iron Man that came in the Ursa Major wave. And here you can really see the arc reactors and what I was referring to earlier, how they just deepened it so you can plug in the effect in there. But of course, the main difference here is the paint applications, and this is all up to preference, but I love that we have both versions. I really do dig the darker red and the gold color, but of course, with this look and the Proton Cannon, we gotta have those classic yellow and red, bright, vibrant colors like we're getting here, and I think this is just the perfect way to release this figure. And here's just a full pan out shot of the two figures side by side. I just love this Iron Man. This is one of my favorite Iron Mans in the collection, and I think it might get beaten by this version, which is exactly the same figure. Hey, that's how great this figure is. But I mean, with all the add-ons that this release has, this might be the definitive Iron Man, at least one of the best Iron Mans that Hasbro has produced, in my opinion. And really, there is no need to go through the articulation since he is the same figure as before. Just noting again that he does come with the pinless knees and the pinless elbows. And of course, that means if you want, you can put the unmasked head on the Ursa Major modular Iron Man. And there we have him next to the War Machine, which came in the retro carded Iron Man wave as well. This is the one that started it off. And there he is next to the Iron Man that came in the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure wave of Shang-Chi, the MCU movie wave. And these basically have pretty similar color schemes here, so if you want, let's see if we can swap heads here. It looks a little weird, but there's the modular Iron Man head, or the new one from this set. And there's the unmasked head on that body, and that looks pretty good, and it fits in pretty good too. And then here we have what is still my favorite Marvel Legends Iron Man figure. It's the 20th anniversary of Toy Biz Series 1. The classic Iron Man, which is using most of that same body mold from the Mr. Hyde Iron Man, with this brand new Tony Stark head sculpt that was introduced in that release, with the nice blue paint on the hair with the black. Just looks great, looks very comic booky. I really love what they did with this release, so that's why it's still one of my favorites. Even though it has pins, goes to show that even though it has pins, it's still a great figure. But man, with this new one here on the left side, these are definitely in my top 3, top 5 Iron Man figures of all time so far. And I think what's really important is that they both come with their own unique unmasked head sculpts. I feel like Hasbro could have easily given us a re-release of that same old head sculpt, but they didn't. They gave us a brand new one that we've never seen before, and I really appreciate that. And here's a quick head swap between those two unmasked heads, and I think this looks really good. And out of all the suited bodies, this is the only one that really works with this head sculpt because the head is pretty big. Bigger scale than some of the previous head sculpts that were on those older suited bodies like the Phil Coulson body. So this is the Wolverine Hugh Jackman body from Logan 2-pack with Professor X, and this is still the the hidden gem of suited bodies. It seems like this one works out with most of the unmasked heads that come with Tony Stark and some other figures too. And this one fits in perfectly. The skin tones are not 100%, but it's still passable, doable in some lighting. You know, if you change the lighting a little bit, then you probably can get away with it. But I think it looks pretty good. And we'll pan out a little bit here to get a full body shot of him in the suited body there. So as we speak, my Mayfix version of Iron Man with the Proton Cannon is on the way to me, and it did not make it on time, but once it does arrive, I will do a review of that figure, of course, and I will compare it next to this Hasbro Marvel Legends version so we can get a side-by-side look at the two and see which one is better. But from what I'm seeing, I think this is the version that's going to bring you the most value. It's the cheaper alternative and the more accurate looking version. We'll see those two cannons side by side as well. I'll even try to get this figure to hold it to see if it looks better, because it might be a little bit more detailed. So we will find all that out. Stay tuned for my future review of that Mayfix Iron Man. But that is going to do it for this review of the Hasbro Marvel Legends version. I urge you guys, if you're an Iron Man fan, to check this figure out for sure. Do not pass this one up, because I think it is one of the best Iron Man figures that Hasbro has made, and probably one of the best figures of the year. I will even go as far as saying that. We are heading towards the end of the year already. It's October, so it's time to start thinking about which figures are the best of the year for the top 10 list, and I think this one might make it. I mean, this one is really up there, so we'll find out once we get to that. As an Iron Man fan, I am super happy with this release. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Leave a like if you did, comment down below your thoughts, and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. As always guys, take care, take it easy, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.